Today on Capitol Hill, House Speaker Mike Johnson banned transgender women from using women's restrooms at the Capitol. His statement announced, quote, all single-sex facilities in the Capitol and House office buildings are reserved for individuals of that biological sex. This came after last night, you saw us report here, Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace introduced a bill with that ban. And of course, this is all happening 2 weeks after the first openly transgender person was elected to Congress, Democratic Congresswoman-elect Sarah McBride. McBride responded to House Speaker Johnson today saying, quote, I'm not here to fight about bathrooms. I will follow the rules as outlined by Speaker Johnson, even if I disagree with them. I want to bring in my political sources tonight. And S.E. Cupp, I just want to start with you because I think my first question looking into this was, how is Speaker Johnson going to even enforce something like this?
Well, you're getting to the silliness of this. And some of this is just performative. As you know, every House member has their own personal bathroom, and there are unisex bathrooms all over all of the buildings on Capitol Hill. So some of this is just performative, and it is unenforceable unless you're relying on staffers and members of Congress to turn each other in, which I don't think is the kind of environment you want to create. But listen, there are real concerns among average Americans about some of these trans issues around biological men and boys playing sports against biological women and girls. That does not make them bigoted for having those concerns. There are concerns around gender reassignment surgery for children. People aren't bigots for having those concerns. We should have civil, good debates about policy. The problem is Republicans aren't doing that. Republicans are using a very complicated and emotional issue to create a wedge and to create a punitive and cruel attack on a new member who, as she pointed out, doesn't want any of this. This is not why she was sent to Congress, and it's not what she wants to do and occupy her time with as a member of Congress. But that's sort of what Republicans do on these culture war issues. There could be a grain of truth or a majority of Americans with them on an issue, but they go to the cruelty to make a point instead of a policy.
Yeah, Jamal, looking at McBride's response to this, saying, this is not what I'm going to be focusing on. This is not why I'm here. Of course, you can't ignore how all of this started, which is from Congresswoman Mace, and seeing what she said today. She was the one who introduced this bill and then wanted Mike Johnson to put it in the packages rule. But I want to point you to something that is still up on Mace's House website even today, where she said, quote, I strongly support LGBTQ rights and equality. No one should be discriminated against. She said, I do believe religious liberty, the First Amendment, gay rights, and transgender equality can all coexist. She talked about her own friends who identify as LGBTQ. Now look at that and then compare that with her Twitter feed today and look at how much she has posted about this in just the last 24 hours alone. This is a small snapshot if you're looking through her X feed on this. And I just wonder your view of that, Jamal.
Well, what's happened is Donald Trump got elected president. And since Donald Trump's got elected president, we've normalized cruelty. We've normalized things that we just really wouldn't do otherwise. What's interesting about this, in 1990, we passed the Americans with Disability Act. When my former boss, Mace, who was in a wheelchair, got to the United States Senate in 1997, there was not an ADA-compliant bathroom. So you know what he did? He used the bathroom, he used the women's room, because the women's room in the Senate was the only one that was ADA compliant. The men's room was not ADA compliant. So the Senate was able to figure this out 20-something years ago. And now here it is in the House, we're doing it just because it's cruel. And I bet you, just like me, I'm sure you know, right now in America, this weekend, there will be nightclubs all over America where women are tired of standing in line and they choose to go into the men's room to go to the bathroom. Americans can figure this out. This is just something that's cruel that's being done on behalf of Nancy Mace, and she should be ashamed of herself.
Well, and S.E. Cupp, Mace's former comms director has been criticizing her online. She posted him once and said, if you think this bill is about protecting women and not simply a ploy to get on Fox News, you have been fooled.
Yeah, Nancy Mace really likes TV time. She likes being at the center of these. And I don't know if it's to curry favor among MAGA or just because she wants attention, but she's done this before. And she's, glommed onto an issue that she thinks works for her. But But that's the point. This is a policy issue. And I'm not just talking about the bathroom in Congress. I'm talking about this entire issue of trans rights. It is an issue, and it's an issue that deserves some serious attention to policy. And we should do that with compassion and understanding. I've been in the gay rights and LGBT community as a supporter and advocate since I'm a child. And I know from experience that the way you move people on these issues of progress is not at the barrel of a gun, and it's not by yelling at them, screaming at them, telling them they're awful and bigots. That's not it. You got to wait until people meet these people. When you meet a gay person, when you meet a trans person, that's when the conversations sort of start to change. So on the left, they can't force this issue on Americans who don't find some of this stuff very popular. But on the right, they are hoping that the cruelty is going to move people on this issue too, and that's just not how it works either. That's not getting it.
And Kaitlan, before we take off,
go ahead, Jamal. I
just want to go back really quickly to the Matt Gaetz situation, because I think there's something that we aren't talking about here. I've been through 2 separate background checks working in 2 separate presidential administrations in my life. One of the things they do in a background check is they see what you feel sensitive about, what is in your background that you're concerned about. The fact that Matt Gaetz is so sensitive about whatever happened in these allegedly Diddy-style freak-offs or whatever he was doing down in Florida, the fact that he's so sensitive about it that he's not going to tell people tells me there's a vulnerability there. So for those of us who are concerned about how America is competitive and how we stand up against our adversaries know what happened. They know what's in this report. And if he doesn't tell the American public, if we don't air this out in the United States Senate, he's going to be a very vulnerable cabinet member in a very sensitive job in the United States government.
Well, and I should note, he's denied that, and the Trump expectation from their team is that he'll deny it publicly at a confirmation hearing. If it gets to that point, we'll see if it does. Jamal Simmons, SC Cup, thank you both for being here. Up next, the president-elect has nominated someone else today, another loyalist. This time it is a former law enforcement official who is going to a critical foreign policy role. We're going to talk about that with my next source who once held that position after a quick break.